Okay, give me just a minute. For everybody, I just want to make sure I have everybody in order for their public comment, for those people who signed up online and the people who have just signed up. Who has signed up online? Got it.
Don't forget your lunch.
I see no public comment as we move forward on the items on the agenda, except for the proposed solar farm. So I will have everyone who wants to speak on that will be brought forward when we get to that part, just so you know. So right now, I think we're ready to go. Okay, very good. So I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. Good morning again. It is now 10:42, and I'd like to call the meeting of the Kane County Board Tuesday, November 14th, 2023 to order. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Allen,
Allen present.
Bates,
Eight's here.
Berman,
Berman is here.
Doherty,
Already here.
Davist,
Davist here.
Ford, Gums,
Comes here.
Iqbal, Juby,
Ruby here.
Kenyon,
Here.
Caius,
Guys present.
Leonard,
Leonard here.
Lewis, Linder,
Linder here.
Molina,
Molina present.
Roth,
Roth here.
Sanchez,
Sanchez present.
Silva,
Here.
Strathman,
Strathman here.
Sturgis,
Present.
Tarver,
Tarver's here.
Tepe,
Tepe here.
Williams,
Williams here.
Young, Huron.
I'm here as well. And we have Linder, Mr. Linder, Mr. Doherty, Ms. Molina, and who else online would like to speak remotely? Be
Linder.
part of it?
They have a huge,
And Mr. Sanchez will do a pre-approval for you if you need to leave. Okay, so due to both illness and work-related activities, may I have their permission to have them join remotely, the board members?
Sent granted.
Thank you. And there'll be 4 of them. Well, 3.5 right now. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, I do have a 3:30 doctor's appointment, so I may have to leave just in case. I don't know. Just so you know.
Thank-
Optimist.
Thank you for the forewarning. All right, very good.
Have 2 chicken legs. I'll share one.
All right. Why don't you, please, pledge.
Please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You look so festive today.
Oh, why, thank you. Wear more blue next time, red, white, and blue.
You know, red's a good color too. Wrong with that. Mark, are you going to be doing the invocation?
I did not prepare
Well,
an invocation for today. Perhaps I missed a memo somewhere.
would you like to say a few words?
Of course.
Hey, Mark, I have a
Um,
poem I can read for you instead. I'll swap my invocation day for you. Because I'm always prepared to do the invocation. It's
My-
up to you.
My words today then would be to embrace spontaneity and share with others who are prepared.
That's good enough.
Would you like me
And
to?
with that, I give you. Oh,
Nice recovery.
Well done, sir. Well played.
Okay. So for Mark, I'm going to be reading For a Leader by John O'Donohue. May you have the grace and wisdom to act kindly, learning to distinguish between what is personal and what is not. May you be hospitable to criticism. May you never put yourself at the center of things. May you not act from arrogance, but out of service. May you work on yourself, building up and refining the ways of your mind. May those who work for you know you see and respect them. May you learn to cultivate the art of presence in order to engage with those who meet you. When someone fails or disappoints you, may the graciousness with which you engage be their stairway to renewal and refinement. May you treasure the gifts of the mind through reading and creative thinking so that you can continue as a servant of the frontier where the new will draw its enrichment from the old, and may you never become a functionary. May you know the wisdom of deep listening, the healing of wholesome words, the encouragement of the appreciative gaze, the decorum of held dignity, the springtime edge of the bleak question. May you have a mind that loves frontiers so that you can evoke the bright fields that lie beyond the view of the regular eye. May you have good friends to mirror your blind spots. May leadership be for you a true adventure of growth.
He said.
Mark.
Good job, Mark.
wow.
Mark, that was very well said.
My sincere thanks, because that was a wonderful poem and a sentiment that I think hopefully everyone in the room can can find at least part of that means something to them personally. So thank you very much. And I'll try to be prepared personally next time
Next year.
on my own frontier.
Next year. Speak about golf and you'll always speak well. All right, we are now, may I please have a approval of the minutes from October 10th, 2023.
Bates moves.
Thank you, Ms. Bates.
Alan, second.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Are there any changes or comments, edits to these minutes?
Madam Chair, quick question.
Yes,
Are we doing just the 10th?
yes, just
Okay.
the 10th for right now. Oh, then we can, I'm sorry. Let's do the 10th and 20th and then the 23rd.
Thank
We'll
you.
do one at a time. So let's do the 10th. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's go down to the 20th. May I have a motion, a second to approve the minutes of October 20th?
Berman move.
Mr. Berman, thank you. Any changes or comments to October 20th? All in hearing that, do we have your approval? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of October 23rd, 2023?
Well, you will move.
Council second.
Thank you, Ms. Gomes. Any comments or changes to these minutes?
Caius,
Mr. Caius?
I would just request that we have, there, you included, I think it's just like Scribner's error, the adjourn time on the minutes for that date.
Recording in progress.
For October 23rd. I don't know what it is, but it could, the meeting still be going.
I think it is.
I think Mr. Caius, who approved it first? Mr. Caius approved it first.
I can't believe that.
All right, so we have, with that one time, we'll have to go back to our records and listen to the time at the very end. So with that, knowing that we will correct that, may I have your approval? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed with that? None? Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for that correction.
Doherty,
Yes, Mr. Doherty.
I'm sorry, I don't know where this belongs, but I just got a 745-page printout in the mail yesterday. Do you know why?
We will be addressing that. Yes, I do. But we'll
Oh.
just be patient and enjoy the printout.
Okay, I
Uh,
just didn't know the time. Yeah, I didn't know the timing of it. I'm great. I'm glad it's gonna be addressed.
Yeah, I think you'll find it.
It didn't say
useful.
that anywhere in the mailing. I just, okay, I'll shut up.
Nobody said that.
Good advice to everybody.
Wow.
All right, let me go through this opus of a. All right, we have no public comment, as I mentioned before, that's on agenda. All the public comment is directly related to one of our petitions. So we will skip through public comment. And I'd like to move forward with reading a proclamation. And I will ask, Mr. Iqbal, would you be so kind? Here we are, sir.
Madam Chair, I'm so sorry. Are
Yes.
did we approve all 3 sets of minutes or are we just
No.
doing 2?
We did all three. We just did three.
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay. Want some more coffee? Oh, I'm drinking. I've got it.
Are we all good? Yes.
As I understand it, Shepro speaking, the October 23rd minutes were approved subject to inserting the actual time of adjournment.
So all three have been approved. All right, are we ready for our recognition of Small Business Saturday, please?
Yeah, the proclamation reads.
Could you bring the microphone closer? There we go.
Better?
Thank you.
Whereas the government of Kane County celebrates.
Can everybody hear?
No.
Okay,
No.
A little bit
No.
louder.
You're soft spoken, sir.
May want to put it closer to your.
Better.
That's very good.
voice. Whereas the government of Kane County celebrates our local small businesses and the contribution they make to our local economy and community. And whereas according to the US Small Business Administration, there are 33.2 million small businesses in the United States. Small businesses represent 99.7% of the firms with paid employees. Small businesses are responsible for 62.7 of net new jobs created since 1995, and small businesses have 46.4% of employees in the private sector in the United States. And whereas the 68 cents out of every dollar spent at a small businesses in the United States stays within the local community, and every dollar spent at small business creates an additional 48 cents in local business activity as a result of the employees and the local businesses purchasing local goods and services. And whereas 72% of consumer reported that Small Business Saturday 2022 made them want to shop and dine at small independently owned retailers and restaurants all year long. And whereas the Kane County supports our small businesses, our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. And whereas advocacy groups, as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now therefore, be it proclaimed by this county board of Kane County, Illinois, that it hereby recognizes Saturday, November 25th, 2023 as Small Business Saturday, and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and to shop small throughout the year.
Thank you.
Goes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don't go to your big box.
Now, so it's formal. May I please have a motion and a second to approve this recognition of small business?
Ralph will make the motion.
Carver
Thank you.
seconds.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Berman.
I know, well, Davis with a
Oh.
comment then perhaps.
Okay, Mr. Davis.
Um,
Does anybody have any comments on this? Before we do the voice vote? Yes, sir.
as a small business owner, I remember it was a long fight to get Washington to recognize the true status and importance of small business by elevating the SBA in their hierarchy there. And the recognition that small business creates more jobs in this country than the Fortune 500 does, that it is truly the backbone of our economy. And in my world, we're a small manufacturing business, so I applaud the 25th and by all means shop and go eat and enjoy the frontline small businesses of the world. Because small business does matter. It is where the jobs are. It is what drives our economy, and it's due this kind of recognition. So I applaud it.
Very good. Thank
Live it every day.
you. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Any other comments on this? Yes, Ms. Bates.
As a small business owner for 20 years, no, honest to gosh, it was 20 years. I created one job, my own, but I made my living off of that tiny business for 20 years and generated money for the economy.
So I hope we all know, I hope you all shop on Saturday, the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Go to your local stores and tell them thanks for their hard work and their efforts. The one thing we all can say about small businesses, that if you work for a charitable organization and you're going to need to knock on doors and ask for support, ask for help, they are always there. My dentists are small business owners, just donated hundreds of toothbrushes and other oral health products for stocking stuffers for children in Batavia. So please tell them thanks, appreciate their hard work. And if you get a button that says shop small, please wear it proudly because it's important for the backbone of our communities. So with that, I'd like to do a voice vote so we can move forward. All in favor of Small Business Saturday? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Thank you all. Thank you. It means a lot. All right, we are now, we have no ordinance that I have noted yet. They'll be passed later on. We'll be discussing those. Now we have our zoning petitions. So, Mr. Ford.
Our first petition is petition 4615. The petitioner is Robert Matson, which is RPIL Solar 8 LLC. The location is on the south side of Plateau Road, west of Burlington High School. Proposed special use in the F farming district for solar facility. Objectors are our local property owners. So I make the motion to move this for discussion.
Allen moves. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Allen. Second. Thank you, Ms. Bates. All right, discussion.
I will say that there's been a adjustment in the location of the panels just slightly. There's a layout that has been passed around this morning from our staff.
The reason I'm like, perhaps, what, Mr., I'm looking at the public comment. So
Ask if there's anybody here to speak on 40.
So we do have an objector here to speak. If you would like to speak first, Greg Pelican. Yes.
All right, thank you. And Blair, if you can put that map up. Thank you so much. It's a pretty busy map. There's a lot going on at this location. So good morning. My name is Greg Peliquin. So thank you all very much. We appreciate your consideration and giving us a voice. I'm speaking on behalf of close to 100 Kane County residents and parents. Many of them are here today. This good-looking group behind me would love to come up and talk. But in essence of time, I'm going to come up and do a summary for them. Is that okay? Put your hand. Is that okay if I do a summary? Okay, good. So I think what everyone is realizing about this situation is that it's not anything about the positives and negatives of solar. This is simply a concern of building a actual production facility of this size in this location. As many of you know, that this is a very unique location. It has, of course, HBT schools, students, grade school children attached to it. Cardinal Creek Forest Preserve and the ecosystem that supports it is attached to this solar facility. Residents on all four sides, and these residents also have children and grandchildren. And their homes, values, and lands will decrease. And finally, it's historic and the highest vista in Kane County. It's not that, again, it's not the Colorado mountains, but it's what we got. And it's famously known as Rocket Hill by people who've lived here a long time, and it runs right along scenic Burlington Road. There are many, many concerns by many, many different people for different reasons. The safety concern, again, just falls back to this facility of this size, so close to so many things. And, you know, we should be extremely concerned when there's a facility going to be put in your backyard that needs a steel safety fence around it with danger, high voltage, and keep out signs on it. And it has all the variables of a production facility. High power, high voltage, power supplies, mechanical, moving gearboxes, hazardous materials in the inverters and the transformer and controls, components, and the panels themselves. Anywhere near or inside these fences is not a safe environment for anyone. You have heard many documented and legitimate concerns from various people. Local biologists have voiced concerns, experts on the area and the wildlife, local appraisers and realtors, experts on who know why people move to rural Kane County, and also people considering moving to the area with kids that are starting or in school. Local electrical and component engineers who have pointed out the number of hazardous materials that could be exposed through fire or wind damage, and hundreds of parents and teachers in District 301, and of course, residents on all four sides. And most recently this week, the fire marshal asked me to contact this morning the local school to get their input on it because there's concerns there. But one concern that this is consistent is that in nearly every article, it states that there needs to be much more research before anyone can say a facility of this size in this location will have zero effect on our children, students, residents, wildlife, and ecosystem. So the underlining overall theme seems to be in every discussion I've read or been involved in is we simply do not want to use our tax-funded schools, students, forest preserve, and our home and land values to an issue be a 25 to 40-year test site on the effects of a huge solar facility of this size in a small area surrounded by so many concerns. There's simply no comparison to this size facility next to a grade school in Kane County. The petitioner does reference 4 schools, Kaneland, John Shields, John Stewart, and Harder Middle School, 3 of these which are rooftops. If you took the panels from any of these schools and put them on this property, it would take up less than an acre. This facility is 36 acres. So finally, I have so much respect for what you do. And I will be honest with you, and working with some of you, I sometimes wonder why you do it. But after talking to so many of you, I think the reason you ran for board at that time was to give your neighbors at the time, the friends, and now your constituents in your district a voice to help these citizens and support their concerns, in essence, protect their health, their safety, their welfare of the people in this county. And I know those words sound like something you put on a mission statement. Well, it is, because it's right off of, and we agree 100% off of your mission statement. that you do as county board members. So with that, please protect the health, welfare, and safety of the residents, students, wildlife of Rocket Hill, and the residents and taxpayers throughout King County by voting no to this facility in this location. Thank you again for all your consideration in this matter. Appreciate it.
Microphone on, there we go. Thank you. Please, so we can get through all of this. I ask for no applause. I appreciate your enthusiasm and your participation, but we have to moderate that, please. Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, I do want to make a note that our zoning board had a denial on this. Of course, even in with about 11 stipulations that follows it.
Okay, we have got a number of other speakers. Do you want me to call them or
Go
would
ahead.
you?
I only have one name on my.
All right, very good. So Mr. Peliquin, did you give time? We have Michelle Shuta. Michelle allowed you to speak, gave you her time. All right, and how about Lynn Peliquin? Same, okay. Thank you both. Appreciate that.
Does anybody gets to speak on behalf of the?
Oh, you would like to speak, please? I understand. Okay, very good. So the next one is Lynn. Okay, Michelle's next. Okay, gotcha.
Blair, do you have, thank you so much. Good morning.
Make sure, get a little bit closer to the mic. There you are.
With all that's currently happening in other countries today, I would like to start by saying how fortunate we are as Americans to be able to serve our government like you do and to be able to express ourselves like I am about to do. I'm Michelle Shuta, and for 21 years, I've lived in the Burlington Hills subdivision across the road from the proposed 36-acre solar site referenced as petition 4615. During the past 3 weeks, I have talked to 75 residents in person who live near this proposed site. Here are their signatures. The concerns voiced by these citizens and taxpayers are numerous, including safety issues, property values, environmental concerns, and outrage that this site would even be considered for a large solar facility, given that 2,300 students, a forest preserve, and numerous homes are in close proximity. Others I spoke with were upset that the rural nature of our community, known as Rocket Hill, will be permanently altered. I'm sure you can attest to the public outcry based upon the number of emails that you have received in regards to voting no to this petition. This simply is not an appropriate location for a solar field. The logistics of a solar facility sharing a property line with an elementary school does not make sense. The two properties would be separated by a fence labeled danger, high voltage. That would be represented on this picture here by the yellow line. That would define the two properties. Children from ages 3 to 11 would be playing on one side of this fence. On the other side would be a solar facility. For 12 years, I was a substitute teacher at Howard B. Thomas Elementary School, and I have supervised children on this playground. If you can see, I'll try to use this pointer here. Oh, well, technical difficulties, but there is a sand area there. The closest point to the fence marks 60 feet. This is about the distance that I am now from our AV person, Blair, back there by the wall. Blair, can you please not touch the fence? It says danger, high voltage. Managing children on this playground would become a nightmare. Another thing to consider is the use of this playground as a safe area for a fire evacuation site. If we could have that plan up, please, Blair. No, not that one. Thank you. In order for fire and evacuation plan to work efficiently, 300 of the 600 students and staff at HBT must exit out of the back of the school. The evacuation plan instructs them to exit the building, walk across the playground, and go all the way back to the cornfield until they are a safe distance away from the building. If there was a property fence there labeled danger, should they be backing up to that? 27 years ago, Kane County gave their approval to build HBT on a rural site. Now a solar facility wants to move in as its neighbor. Reverse the situation. If a 36-acre solar facility were there first, would the residents and taxpayers approve of building an elementary school right next to such a large solar field? We can't pick up the elementary school and relocate it, but you can decide that this solar facility doesn't have to be there. I am aware that the school district and renewable properties have met and that the solar company has resubmitted a design of the solar field so that the panels themselves are pushed back. This action alone demonstrates that the school district has concerns for the safety of our children. One should also consider the impact such a large solar field would have on the environment. Rocket Hill, where these 3 schools are located, is the geographic high point of Kane County. The next slide, please. Solar fields are best suited to be on flat terrain. This site is not flat. As you can see from this picture provided by Renewable Properties, it has solar panels superimposed on the existing field. You can see the natural flow of the water from this geographical high point and how it naturally drains to the southwest downhill and then feeds into the Cardinal Creek Forest Preserve. Along with altering the land to install solar panels, it will negatively impact our watershed, and it will disfigure this land forever. The decision to allow a solar facility to be built on this site is not logical based upon these negative impacts. I urge you to vote no to petition 4615. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Next speaker then is Lynn. There she is.
Good morning. My name is Lynn Peliquin, and I'm here talking about 4615. This petition 4615, has certainly caught the attention of many. Lots of back and forth with each side, with what each side would like you to know. It's almost like a high stakes poker game. One side, I'll see you 2 experts, and I'll raise you a local realtor. And that might be funny, I agree, if the stakes weren't truly so high. But when the dust settles, it comes down to one thing. This is the wrong location for a large solar production facility. As I said, you've probably been doing quite a bit of reading with what has been provided to you, but I'm going to share today with you is more focused on observational research. Pictures instead of paper and words, because what one sees and observes ultimately is very factual. The things that can be observed about the proposed solar facility. It is landlocked, for the lack of a better term, in the middle of a community. It is directly next to one of the most scenic, if not historic, roads in Kane County. It is yards from a grade school playground where the district has acknowledged concern. It is in the middle of an ecosystem for Cardinal Creek where the Forest Preserve has acknowledged concern. It is one of the most unique pieces of land that has been proposed for a placement of a solar facility of this size, given all these observations. And lastly, it will devastate the true character of Rocket Hill. But the biggest observation to me, the main reason you have been buried with different kinds of research and resources is because there does not exist any long-term impact studies that have been conducted on all the concerns and all the conditions that are proposed by this facility. So could this be then a situation of we don't know what we don't know? Smoking, Roundup weed killer, baby talcum powder. These things were thought to be okay until they weren't. What could a possible compromise be? The possible reduction of 1 or 2 rows does not address our concerns. The placement of decorative landscaping does not address our concerns. And really, those are the only 2 considerations because of its location. So I end with this 1-minute video that will be coming up in case some aren't familiar with the area or didn't get a chance to come visit Rocket Hill. So you can observe the same things our group of concerned citizens have observed. And that is, this is the wrong location for a solar facility of this size. Protect Rocket Hill. Vote no to the location of petition 4615. And I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The next speaker is Deidre. Sorry, Desiree. Welcome.
My name is Desiree DeRate. It's kind of a tough name to pronounce, but anyway, I don't want to take up much of your time. I just got a couple of things to say. All the previous speakers are right on the money, made some good points. I just wanted to tell you that I've got a lot of respect for Kane County. I think it's one of the best counties in the state of Illinois. And I also want to tell you that Central High School and Howard B. Thomas are one of the top schools, if not the top school in the county. And we really don't want to wreck that by putting a solar site. It's dangerous. It's not a good idea. You've heard that. I didn't just move here. I've been here for 69 years. In fact, I was the first male student to walk to Central High School. My dad's farm was right across the road. So I've got a lot of respect for Central High School, the community. I've been here for 69 years, within a couple miles of the high school. And it's just a really bad idea. I'm missing some of my points because I'm so excited. But I ask you, please, to vote no on this 4615. It's a terrible idea. And please, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mark Schrage, it simply says solar farm. Is this the solar farm? Because we have several. That about this farm, sir? This petition?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
So my name is Mark. I'm from Elgin, Illinois. And I certainly don't have the dogs in the race like these guys do necessarily, but I wanted to throw out a personal anecdote after I threw out the 3 points I was going to make that have already been emphasized, I thought, quite well. 2012, the city of Elgin unleashed their new water meters. They were taking the old analog meters out and putting in the radio frequency meters, new AMRs. And my wife, having already been injured through EMFs, asked me to stand up to not allow them to be installed in our home. So going through the threats of having our water turned off and so forth and so on, we eventually struck a compromise. But in the process, one of the things I came to realize is that while there's an admission that there is such a component as EMF, when it came to the city of Elgin, they never really, in installing these meters, had their technicians measure the EMF in the homes. So the technicians, as far as I know, still the water department in Elgin, their employees don't have the equipment to measure the very thing that is dangerous. Now, the city of Elgin came to me to say that you realize that the power emitted by one of these AMRs is a fraction of one cell phone call is. And what is not being understood, I think, is that the compound effect of all of this EMF has nobody studying it. And so the analogy, though, if even just the one source, is that, you know, when it comes to the Chinese water torture, it's not about being flooded with water. It's one little drop forever. I mean, cancers are on the increase everywhere. And there are more people dying with cancer every year. And there are more toxins and more toxicities and shorter lifespans all the time because we're adding the EMFs, in my mind, and there's other components too that are not getting measured in these solar farms, like the straight currents, the currents that get transmitted in the ground. I mean, dairy farmers in Wisconsin have long known the fact that straight currents affect dairy production and milk production immensely. So while I don't necessarily have, well, maybe I do, I guess, a dog in the race, horse in the race. One of the things I did come across, though, in our conversations with the city of Elgin in dealing with their AMRs was that the biggest problem the city of Elgin has now is the fact that they installed lead service lines, lead water pipes 60 years ago. So just like one of the people was talking about.
Sir, I don't mean to, you're digressing from the topic at hand with the lead water lines, but.
Well, no, my point is that there was no discovery of that problem 60 years ago. And there was no long-term studies of these solar farms today. That's my point.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Simon Strage, I'm sorry. Froggy, is very good. And it's about this petition?
Yes. Greetings to you all. I was made aware of this petition from a friend of a friend of a friend, and I realized, I saw that we have 3 petitions on the agenda talking about tearing up farmland and turning it into solar farms. And I thought farmland is a renewable resource, but unlike solar panels, you cannot make more of it. In a 2022 report, the American Farmland Trust estimated that by 2040, 83% of solar development acreage will be farmland. And of this farmland, roughly half will be the most valuable. So why are we not placing these utility scale power plants on industrial zone land or marginal land or contaminated land or along highways or along commercial rooftops? They do not belong on agricultural land. They are power plants. The industrialization of farmland and timberland is not green. So on a personal note, I worked for a solar installer a solar installation company, Power Home Solar, during the lockdown. And I quit because I didn't like how they all operated with a smart grid. But the employees on that company, we primarily did rooftop installations, and the employees preferred doing ground installations because they're easier. We didn't have to get on roofs. So when I look at three different farms in Kane County being prospected to be torn up and turn into commercial power plants, I just see a couple companies that can get a tax credit doing a little less work. That's what I'm seeing. I don't know why. An example of an alternative is, for instance, a law passed by France February 7th, 2023, that goes into effect in July of this year, went into effect, where parking lots with more than 400 spaces will have to have at least 50% of their area covered in solar by 2026. That's an area where you're using industrial land, not a non-renewable resource like farmland. I wanted to share that observation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ben Jacoby.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am an attorney for the applicant. It might be more efficient to receive public comments from the rest of the public, and then we can respond,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Absolutely,
Yeah, thank you.
absolutely.
And with me are Jeremy Price and Robert Matson. They would also be with the applicant.
All right, very good.
Comments.
We have several more speakers on some of the other solar farms, but I believe we have completed all the speakers for 46-15. Is that accurate? All right. Yes, Ms. Bates.
May I ask that Mr. Ford explain the denial again? Sorry. Sorry to put you on this.
All right, so actually, to explain the denial may take a while, but in our packet, the zoning board made a denial, and first I said 11, but it goes from 11 to 12 back to 11, so it might be 13 reasons for stipulations, 13 stipulations.
Are these things that would have to be remediated?
Yes.
It's a permanent, so this is not a permanent denial, but it's contingent denial?
A combination of both.
Okay. There are permanent denials in here?
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes, yes.
Are we still in public comment?
We are still very much in public comment.
Oh, thank you.
So we don't need to. Thank you. All right, you're back up.
I am, Madam Chairman. It sounded like maybe it was my turn.
It is your turn.
Done, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the board. My name is Ben Jacoby. I am the attorney for the applicant. And it is my privilege to present this project to you this morning. Thank you for considering. We hope to earn your vote today. I'm also joined by the landowner, Mr. Matson. Matson, he's behind me, and the lead developer, Jeremy Price, is to my left. I'm going to provide some comments here, both to summarize the sort of procedural status and some changes that have been made very recently, and then I'll turn it over to Mr. Matson to provide his landowner comments from his perspective, and then of course answer any questions that the board has. Mr. Matson, to introduce him a bit to the board, if you don't know him already, he's not an absentee landowner. He lives in the community, been a member of the community for his entire life. He's a fifth generation member of the Kane County resident. He was an auxiliary police officer, an auxiliary fireman. He's been on the board for the St. Charles Historical Society since 1963, which I had to double check, but that is accurate. The Matsons have put 3 kids through District 301. Mrs. Matson was a 3rd grade teacher there. I make these points because sometimes you have absentee landowners who live somewhere else. That's not the case here. Mr. Matson is very much an active member of the community and very interested in having his property used in this way. And that is why he's entered into this agreement with the developer. If you're not familiar with community solar, just to highlight a few of the benefits, which you may have seen in the packets, but community solar is a progress where a 5 megawatt solar facility is built, and then members, residents of the community within the distribution grid can subscribe to it and pull it and pick it out on the internet, actually subscribe to it, and then get money off of their bills. So on their supply bills, they get a percentage off by subscribing to this project and having, you know, their theoretical energy from this project, 10 to 15% usually. Also, I see all the tax boards behind you. These things are assessed a fair market value basis of $218,000 per megawatt. So for a 5 megawatt project, the fair market value of this solar project is over $1 million, and then it's equalized and depreciated, but it's taxed at that level. We've projected over the life of the project for this to have about $900,000 in property taxes assessed. And as I can see, almost 70% of that goes to the schools, according to the board behind you there. A very important part of this is that this is a temporary use. So the lease is 30 or 35 years. Once the lease is over, the landowner has, or his descendants have the opportunity to do whatever they want with the land. They can put it right back in agriculture. This particular parcel is not all that productive at the moment, has a fairly low Lisa score under the Soil and Water Conservation Act, Soil and Water Conservation District.
What is that score, please?
I believe it's 72.
No, I mean, what does that word mean?
Oh, Lisa, it's the land
And
evaluation.
Ms. Bates, I'm sorry, we can't interrupt the speaker.
But I'm happy to answer. So that's a score. The Soil and Water Conservation District of Kane County assesses the land, evaluates the land in the county, and rates it on a scale of productivity for agriculture, basically. And a score of 71, I'm sorry, means represents a low protection effort warranted. It means it's not all that productive at the time. The land will lay fallow for the life of the project. It won't be cultivated for agriculture. The soil is rejuvenated. And so when it goes back to agriculture after the project life is complete, it'll actually be a more productive land. It's good for the farmland. The project's entered into an agricultural impact mitigation agreement, which is a contract with the Illinois Department of Agriculture. It's required. It's done so. There's no negotiation of it. The IDOA puts it in front of you and you sign it or you don't. You have to sign it to have a project like this. So we did, and that has all sorts of things in it. It requires for soil removal and remediation, decommissioning. It has a whole bunch of terms in it, and it's the purpose of it is to make sure that the farmland is protected, so that when the project is decommissioned at the end of the life, it goes back to productive agriculture. So very much a temporary use. We do not intend to take this out of agriculture for forever. You know, this goes back to Mr. Mattson and his family to do with what they want for generations going forward. The project was first presented to the Zoning Board of Appeals on September 12th. We presented it, we heard public comment. The Zoning Board of Appeals made no findings of fact. They had no deliberation. They did vote to recommend denial of the project, but we don't know why. There's no record as to why they did that. We then went before the Land Development Committee. We went there first and presented some additional comment to them, some packet materials addressing some of the public comments that we heard at the ZBA meeting. And then we came back a second time. We received a recommendation for approval of the project at the Development Committee, 4-3 vote after supplying some additional information to the Development Committee. I think that's important. We were surprised that the ZBA denied the project because it's in full compliance with your ordinance and it's in full compliance with the state statute. And the state statute 5-12020 of the Illinois Counties Code was recently amended earlier this year. And you're probably aware of this. It's sort of the elephant in the room now with counties, but it has a provision in there that if project complies with the state statute and with the county ordinance, then the county shall approve the projects. So we were really surprised. We thought that this was consistent with the ordinance. We felt that the county should approve it based on that state statute. And we were surprised to receive the denial. But we went back to the drawing board. We considered all the public comments that were provided. And importantly, we also reached out to the school because I know the school is a big deal. And we submitted some additional materials. So what you have with you before you and what's been submitted to this board, even after the Development Committee, we continued our outreach efforts. We continued discussions with the school board, with the school district. And we've submitted some additional materials, a letter that goes through some of the safety concerns, the EMF that you heard from public comment a moment ago, some of the studies. We hired an independent mechanical engineer to provide an analysis of EMFs generated from solar and potential health impacts, leakage from solar panels, et cetera. What you'll find in that study and his analysis, and he's written papers on it, is that there is no real danger from solar panels. There's no EMFs, measurable EMFs projected by them at the property line. And there is no danger of leakage into the ground soil. And that's all presented in the letter that we attached. We also talked to the school. And I want to address really three things I heard from the public comments. One, the school, effect on the school. Two, effect on Cardinal Creek Forest Preserve. And three, sort of the property value or vistas. Three very important issues. And we've taken great care to address each one of them. The school, we had a very productive conversation with the school just yesterday. We've been in constant communications with them and we got them on the phone. The school, I know, came to the executive committee meeting and expressed concerns about the EMFs. And so we provided our study to them. We discussed it with them. They asked, the superintendent asked that the project implement a 150-foot setback from the northern property line and 180 setback from the grade school property line. So we went to our engineering team and tried to find a way to do that. We wanted to accommodate the school's request. What you have before you now is an updated site plan. I think it was passed out by Mark before the meeting. We can also, I believe, put up a slide, but that updated site plan does accommodate that request. So we have that setback that they have requested. We've also put vegetative screening at the request of the school, essentially surrounding all residential, school, and high traffic view areas where screening wasn't already there. So, and what that means, that's a 15-foot barrier of trees and shrubs, deciduous and evergreen, to screen the entire project from anybody that could see it, including the school. And that's represented, my laser pointer battery is dead, I just realized, but you can see that those sort of, darker gray areas along the boundaries of this project. And I think north is to the left. So everything that Mr. Peliquin and his wife discussed, that's all shielded out. The neighborhood to the north is screened, and then the school is screened entirely. And thank you, that's the new site plan I see there. That landscaping, that vegetative screening exists in front of the fence. So you have the vegetative screening, then the fence, an 8-foot fence, which the school requested, without barbed wire, which the school requested. So we accommodated all that. And then the project behind all of that. We did have to move a couple of rows of panels, I think, to try to accommodate, especially the 180-foot setback, but the engineering team thinks it can be done. This, of course, is subject to final engineering. So we may have to adjust some of the panel widths, et cetera, but the setback, the vegetative screening, we've committed to all that. The school told us that if we could do that, then they wouldn't object the project. And we've memorialized that in writing with them. So, with our adjustments here, and the school hasn't spoken today, and I haven't heard back from them since, we believe that the school has withdrawn their objection to the project. It's also consistent with the Kane County Health Department. We've had discussions with them. No comments from the Kane County Health Department on this.
Madam Chair. Where's the school?
So north is to the, this map's a little disorienting. North is to the left. The school is on top.
On the top, thank you.
Yeah, right?
Right.
Yeah. So all of that red hashed area, that's the extra setback. So what you see, the red hash goes up to that, that dark gray sort of barrier. That's the vegetative screening. And then the fence sits behind the vegetative screening closer to the panels. Mm-hmm.
Madam Chair, members of the board, good morning. Jeremy Price. Just to correct a couple comments here. So on the site plan, you can see on the eastern side, you'll have 77-foot setback to the vegetation from the property boundary. So the fence will not be immediately abutting the fence. There were comments surrounding signage on the fence and high voltage. That's a requirement through the state and through the county ordinance. On the west side, closest to the ball field, where you can read protect setback adjusted, would be 20 feet off in terms of the fence line. And then to the panels, we would be 150 feet and then 180 feet on the other side. So the adjustment here would result in the removal of 4 rows of panels as a sign of good faith and collaboration. And it was also a removal of three rows from the hatched area to the right. If there are questions, I'm happy to dive into the details.
All right, well, I'll turn this back over to Mr. Ford.
I don't know if there's any more
No,
questions.
that is it.
No, any questions or comments from board members?
Oh, the board members, yes.
The owner of the property was going to speak.
Would you like to speak, sir, the owner of the property?
Thank all you board members for being present and all the hard work you're doing through the years. I was born in Kane County in Aurora in 1937 with my twin brother. Anyway, my folks, thank you very much for talking about small businesses. My folks ran a business in St. Charles for 56 years. And it was a pleasure to live in St. Charles and meet the community. Unfortunately, it's grown considerably, but you know, that's progress, I guess, just like solar panels are. I live about 1.25 miles away from this solar farm, possible solar farm, I should say. I'm just down the road on Elthorpe Road. I used to help the farmer who farmed the land. I bought it from him. And yes, you are right. It is a beautiful piece of property. In fact, if the sale doesn't go through with solar, if any of you are interested, please let me know. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to touch on one additional point because I heard we talked about the school. I heard comment on the Cardinal Creek Forest Preserve. We met with the Kane County Forest Preserve District as well. They've asked us to modify some of the seed mix in our vegetative planting that will go underneath the panels and around the border. And we've agreed to accommodate Kane County's Forest Preserves District request on that. That will maximize regional consistency and the blooming window coverage. So they wanted to keep things more local, and we've agreed to do that as well. And outside of that, they expressed no concerns. And then finally, on the property value, this is talked about a lot, and it's been studied quite a bit. And at the land development committee meeting, we had a colleague here from Cone Resnick, which is an independent property appraisal company. In fact, they do a lot of services in property. And Andrew Line spoke about studies that he and his colleagues there have done. They've conducted over 35 studies over 18 states, analyzing both residential and agricultural properties, the findings of which indicate solar facilities have not caused consistent and measurable negative impacts on property values. What I find really interesting about Andrew's study is that he interviews assessors in Illinois and other states, but in Illinois, and specifically, he talked to LaSalle, Winnebago, Fayette, and Champaign County, where I'm from, and he talked to them about, those are counties that have actual projects in them and whether they assessed properties differently or seen any impacts on property sales based on those projects. And the answer has been resoundingly no. So, so the studies just demonstrate property values are not affected by these types of projects. So I think I addressed all of the questions that were raised by public comment, the concerns that we've been hearing from neighbors. Happy to take additional questions from the board. And Jeremy, did I miss anything?
Yeah, just a couple quick things here. Responding to the environmental impacts of this project. So this is currently farmed. There is erosion and runoff that goes into Cardinal Creek from this project, and through the restoration of low growing soil and grasses and native forbs, you'll actually reduce runoff. And according to the calculations that were run as part of this application, it would be a 27% reduction in runoff from a 2-year storm event and an 18% reduction on a 100-year storm event. So that's pretty substantial. Additionally, it will create native pollinator habitat for species that are critical to farming, and particularly in this area. I think the other piece is recognizing that it is next to a school. We do want to take advantage of that and have offered to collaborate with the district from a curriculum perspective to ensure that the two can coexist and serve each other well. So I think that covers most of our comments, and happy to address questions.
Yes. Are we ready? Mr. Ford, are we ready
Yes.
for questions now, sir? All right, Mr. Iqbal.
I have a question from the petitioner.
Again, your microphone is,
Okay, I have a question from petitioner. What is the cost of this project or projected cost?
projected cost?
The cost of this, yeah.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of variables that'll change depending on the equipment and the contracts, all of which are still being evaluated. Is there a particular reason that I could help maybe cater this answer towards?
Oh, yes, there is a reason. You mentioned in your memo the revenue that you would be earning, I don't have that figure in front of me. It is 800,000 or something of that sort. But what's the cost of it? What's the cost of the project?
So irrespective of the project cost, the revenue would be the same from the way that the DOR considers solar and the number of acres that is comprised of. We'd be happy to get you an answer on exactly what that is. I don't have it off the top of my head.
Just the rough estimate is $1 million or 2 million for
For the labor itself specifically, or
for the
all in?
panel installation, everything.
Sure. I mean, hypothetically, maybe 25 million, but that's an uneducated evaluation there.
All right.
And I'll just supplement, the taxation is based on statute. So it's set in statute that it's assessed at $218,000 per megawatt. So that's the only variable. Now, then that number, that fair market value basis is applied to a trending factor, which right now in 2023, I think is 1.2. And then you can depreciate it to arrive at, the assessed and then taxable value. But the statute sets the fair market value.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. Anybody else? Ms. Bates?
Bates here. I would like to ask the state's attorney a question, please. And that is it true that the petition complies with both county ordinance and state law?
SEO Frank, we have not been asked to look at this at all, so I wouldn't be able to opine on this in any kind of a opportunity without having to look at it specifically.
Madam Chair.
As it's relevant, we didn't receive any feedback or comments from planning and zoning for inconsistencies upon submission.
Okay.
And Mark, if I misstated anything, please let me know otherwise.
Mr. Sturgis?
My question is, and I think I just texted one of my colleagues, Mr. Williams, is this your area?
It is.
Okay, and are you in favor or opposed?
I'll be voting no.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yes,
Just,
yes, Ms. Combs.
Madam Chair, if I can just address Ms. Bates.
But the
I
floor is yours.
will address you, but to Ms. Bates' question, the statute is 55 ILCS 55122020.
That doesn't answer my question, but thank
Well,
you very much.
it's all in there. It's not a.
I was asking the state's attorney though. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I could answer that question.
All right, back to the. Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, they both are the same. We adopted the statute into our county code. It's verbatim. There's not a change, one word.
Right.
I would agree.
And should I go on? I have to have my other statement too.
Well, let's see if you've already had a chance to speak once. This just clarification. Is there anybody else who would like to speak to this? Yes, ma'am.
I would like to make a statement and I would like to be corrected if I'm wrong. I understood that there was no one from the school here and that some accommodations were made.
I believe, could you speak to that? If we have a representative from the school. Would you like them to come up? Are you prepared to answer that?
So my question is, there were. Good morning, I'm Commissioner Silva.
Morning, Matt Rodwell, Director of Communications, Central 301.
Welcome. My question is, I understand that there were some accommodations made. How do you feel about those accommodations? Does that sway your mind in one way, shape, or form? And will those accommodations, my question is, will those accommodations help to, in your mind, protect the students?
The biggest thing that we've been concerned about all along is about the safety of our students. And that's really all I can say about that in terms of the conversations, specifically to the fencing and to the distance between the panels that were reorganized, I believed, as opposed to reduced. That is something that we discussed yesterday more than anything else. The type of fencing, the type of vegetation, the timeline for construction. And as I'm going through my notes, my apologies. I think the biggest thing that we, as I stated at the top here, is the biggest thing is the safety of our students. Mr. Jacoby said that by not hearing from us that we are withdrawing our objection. We did not object to the project to begin with. We do not have a position on the project. We are simply stating that our constituents have come forward to us speaking about this. And so since we don't have a vote, that is not for us to speak.
Okay, very good.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
clarity.
Thank you. Ms. Silva, are you good?
Yes, thank you
All
so
right,
much.
very good. Yes, Mr. Tepe?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm a major proponent of solar energy, as most of you know. But, sometimes it's just in the wrong location. And this to me is a great project, but the wrong location. And I will be voting no, and I urge my fellow board members to join me. Thank you.
All right, is there anybody else? Oh, we've got a number of hands up now, right now, Mr. Iqbal, you've already had a chance to speak. Yes, sir.
David Young. After all of the emails going back and forth, I decided I'd look into the public health aspect of this. And what came up, and one of the speakers came up and discussed, was the potential for EMF. And if you look at solar panels themselves, they produce DC current. And the solar panels themselves that's clean energy. It's when they have to go through an inverter to convert that from DC to AC. And these are very large panels that have switching components inside of them. And that is where this EMF is going to occur. And one of the emails had a study from Iowa State University, and in that it states this: members of the general public should not be exposed on a continuous basis to electric field strengths exceeding 5 kilovolts per meter. And then I also looked, just doing research, the World Health Organization does verify that same number, 5 kilovolts per meter. And I was doing some research, and I read the packet that Tommy Campbell is the mechanical engineer that had written a paper, and they did not say what the level was going to be of these solar panels. They didn't say it was going to be below 5 kilovolts per meter. They just said nothing to worry about here. So if you go ahead and take a look at this, and another speaker mentioned this, is that we don't even know what we don't even know with these electromagnetic fields and how they could be affecting people, especially when it's so close to an area where people are going to school. And it's just something to think about as we go through these solar panel projects. And one more thing to say about this EMF is that I did a lot of research on it. And if you do a Google search on safe distance to live from a solar panel farm, 1.2 miles. 1.2 miles comes up as the safe distance. And that is actually promoted on pro solar panel websites, which I was surprised. So this is something that we don't even know about. And I'm going to be voting no against this, but that is something that we need to seriously consider as we go forward with all of these solar panel projects here in Kane County.
You had your hand up.
Just really quick, as I lost my notes here, what was the original date of application?
It would have been in early August of this year.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anita Lewis. So I love solar farms. I think they're beautiful. I was very proud when we put the one in animal control. I was very proud of what we've done at the Judicial Center. However, I drove up there and I looked at this beautiful land up there off the Burlington Blacktop, as I call it, and the rolling hills and Rocket Hill. And then I imagined what a solar farm would look like there. It is not the place for it. We need to preserve that land and the beauty up there. And when you're driving up there, you would see those solar farm, the panels. There's no way to put up a berm. There's no way to really hide it. And I just do not think it's the location. So I will absolutely be voting no.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Iqbal then.
Yeah, Madam Chair, thank you. I thank the neighbors who came and wrote to us and made a presentation. I will be voting yes, and it's an easy vote for me. And the reason is we have a statute. The statute has taken away the powers from us. It tells us follow this route, and if the petitioner meets the conditions, you have to say yes, unless there's a negative finding. And I did not see any negative finding that tells me that this project is not good for that area or per se. I went there, I read all the emails, I went there, I looked, I drove around there, I went to the school, I parked in their parking lot, took photos, I have videos, and site appears to me fine. The statute for the school and the other neighborhood properties is very clear. It's called black letter law. We don't have to say it is close, as far. No, the statute says what the distance should be. And that distance in general is 50 feet. And it's not 50 feet from the boundary line, it's 50 feet from the adjacent building. Okay, some building, if then this says non-participating residences would have a separation of 100 feet. For the school, it is 150 feet from the school building. And I was told today that that distance is 60 feet, and the petitioner is providing 180 feet additional, so that makes 240 feet as compared to 150 feet. So when petitioner is meeting all the requirements, we have to say yes. We have no other option. If we say no, it's very clear they will go to court, and this should not be even a trial. In summary judgment, the judge is going to say, what did you do? And that's the reason I asked, what is the cost? And that the cost and the penalties would be based on that number. And it's a very important case. Before I came to this board, there was a very similar case in which the county had to pay $8 million within a very short time. And we are seeing the same thing again. It's a statutory obligation that we have. The second thing I would like to say is our provisos or provisions are not based on the statute at this point. They are based on the stormwater and the drainage and 7 conditions that the department has put. I asked the department head, there should be a provision for the statute, particularly the decommissioning part. They say, well, it will come later on. My point is that that should be a standard operating procedure for every solar facility that there is, and we have to have a mechanism that decommissioning requirement is put in. And you asked me, what is the decommissioning requirement? It's an insurance requirement. They have to carry an insurance, which is a $5 million per instance and 20 million in aggregate. So that requirement, we have to have a mechanism that is enforced from day one. So when they leave, we shouldn't inherit a mess. There should be insurance money to take care of it. And then statute requires it, and we have to enforce it. So with this, I would be voting yes, and I will ask all my colleagues to vote yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I want to say that this is not my district. I'm covered here in Geneva. However, I drive by this piece of property every day, 2 times at least, sometimes 4. And I applaud you, Mr. Mattson, for probably one of the most beautiful pieces of property in Kane County. It is stunning. And I tried very hard to come here with an open mind to be able to hear anything that could maybe change what my gut reaction was. And you have not provided anything that's changed my mind. You've done a great job. It's just like Mr. Tepe said, it's just not the right location for this. And I'm not anti-solar. I respect what Commissioner Iqbal says about liability and exposure that we may have. but sometimes you just have to do what you think is the right thing and take the consequences for it. So I'm asking all of you to please vote no on this. If you haven't gone to see it, I have videos of it. I can send you, I can FaceTime you when I go there this afternoon to show you this beautiful piece of property. But please, please don't vote yes for it. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions on this? Yes, or comments? We've got two more.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just wanted to toss in that part of the angst here is, of course, that our neighbors have opinions on what they're living next to. I do appreciate that the vendor, the solar vendor, has been willing to make some concessions that can only help when you're trying to win hearts and minds, to say we understand the negatives that people are scared about, and we will try to address them. So I really appreciate the vendor trying to do that. Also, I was concerned because there's such a lot of water running through the property, how much of that would get mushed and mashed as you're trying to put in a major project. So I talked to our environmental people here at the county, and they said that we have built into our statutes a whole lot of buffering so that we don't mess with our waterways and our creeks and set up a situation where tiles are destroyed and the water moves around and people are affected. Also, if this project were to go in, it would be 80% planted. Because of the topography of the land, the wind and the rain has removed most of the topsoil from this property. So a positive here is that if you plant 80% of the property in perennials with those root systems, after 25 or 30 years, you're going to have a whole lot of your topsoil back. And the farmer could make a decision then that he wants to cultivate, and he will have a whole lot better property to try and raise plants on than he did before. So there are some positives tossed into the mix, and I just wanted to bring those in as well.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
This is Caius. I have also visited the site and driven around the site and read the letters from the residents in the area. And I appreciate if it's an aesthetic judgment that you're after, then you're right. You're right, because you like what you like. And it is an interesting area to live. I am kind of dismayed by the misinformation that has been presented as far as the safety and what is going to happen. I also Googled, which is not a really very good source for information, accurate information, maybe. But photovoltaic cells have been around since 1954. We've put numbers of solar panels and installations in and on top of schools, around schools. I have them on my house. I think that taking into account what we see for our future for our children, I think it's important that we lean toward the full solar power as opposed to fossil fuels. And what I just wanted to say was I appreciate what you guys are saying about your neighborhood. I think that what would happen with time and the way that the presentation from our from the installer, that there would actually eventually be an asset to the community, and maybe very rapidly. I think that by embracing it, I think having the schools go in and learn about solar and have a facility there that has proven to be safe for the last 30 years or well, let's see, do the subtraction from 1954. I'm practically 71. It's a safe facility. So I will be voting in favor of this, but I do appreciate what the residents are saying. I think that it would be a solid addition to the community, and I don't think it would despoil the property as it's presented.
Madam Chair Ford.
Yes, Mr. Ford.
I was hoping I get down to the last one to speak about this. I think we beat it up quite a bit enough.
I have.
Wait,
Should I
Ms.
speak
Bates,
first?
hold on just a second. I think we have 5 minutes we're asking. He needs 5 minutes. All right.
Go ahead.
The- the-
I can take that.
Ms. Bates, you could take it without being sarcastic, probably an hour to speak about this. So have we,
I have a short comment.
yes, short comment and then Mr. Ford, I think we're ready to go to the next step. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have read the health and safety assessment report that is in the packet and that we also received an email. And I know we're playing, I'll raise you one expert, but that health and safety report did say there's no negative health effect or safety impacts. Like Mr. Iqbal said, the water, or Madam, Miss Deborah Allen said, the water issues will be taken care of. I think Jody Wolnick, our water expert, is here if we needed to ask her questions. According to the health and safety report, the EMF would be at background levels after about 100 feet or something, 150 feet. So that's the same that is in the air right here where we are right this minute. And as far as the beauty of the land, I agree it's beautiful. I think solar panels are beautiful also, and that hill full of solar panels would be beautiful. And judging by the luck we're having here in Kane County, that hill could be full of warehouses if we're not careful. Because forgot his name, Mr. Mattson has the right to sell that land now. It could be to the highest warehouse bidder. So, and thank you so much to the neighbors for coming. And I appreciate your comments. Thank you, Madam Chair. I will be voting yes.
Okay, very good. I think we've had enough comment from the board. The one concern, if I may, Mr.
Sure.
Ford, is just to see about that liability issue, because that is a liability issue that we have 2 other petitions regarding the same type of issue.
Are we gonna break for a commercial? Can we take a short break?
I can provide one quick comment on that.
I would prefer if we
Actually,
wait.
just one thing I do want to say about this, and I understand the state statute and that we follow that. It doesn't mean that the state always get it right.
Oh.
According to history of the state. And that's nothing against them. It's just that you don't know some things until after it happens, okay? I understand the setback from the building. I think this one requires a little bit more attention because the playground area is in the backyard up against the solar panels. So that, because of that, I think there should be another requirement added to this somewhere in the future, that because there's an activity area there, that there's another setback based on that.
I would like to pause this for just a moment, please.
I don't think that's our problem. Not our problem.
You can change these chat, right?
To go against something that's already been proven is one thing. But if we're not aware of it.
We got nothing to stand.
And my feeling is that the owner has a right. The owner has the right to. Whatever.
Losing my
Grip that meets zoning and everything else, and this meets, as you said, this meets all the requirements.
I'll do it for you.
Sure. I don't want it.
We have 49.
No, we got
build warehouses there.
Finances.
All right, ladies, gentlemen, if I could have your attention, please. We're going to be going into closed session to seek advice from our attorney at this moment. May I have a motion to go into closed session, please?
Roth will make the motion.
Thank you. Mr. Roth, a second, please.
For what purpose?
Uh, To receive advice from
To
legal
receive
counsel.
advice from legal.
So who's second? Ms.
Tarver
Strathman?
seconds.
Sorry, Tarver, Ms. Strathman. Who made the motion again? Mr. Williams? Did you? Yes. Yes, you made the motion. So closed session. Yes, just closed session. Clerk, could you please call the roll? And then.
Go in.
Alan?
Alan, I.
Ms. Bates?
Yes.
Berman?
Berman, yes.
Doherty?
Thirty, yes.
Davis?
Sonia?
Yes.
Gums?
Yes.
Iqbal? Juby?
Juby, I.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Caius?
Guys, yes.
Leonard?
Leonard, yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Linder?
Linder, yes.
Molina?
Molina, yes.
Roth?
Roth, yes.
Sanchez?
Sanchez, yes.
Silva?
Silva, yes.
Strathman?
Yes.
Surges?
Got it.
Tarver?
Tarver, yes.
Pepe?
Pepe, yes.
Williams?
Williams, yes.
Young?
Okay, we are now in closed session.
All right, everybody online that's joining us in the closed session, please accept the invites. Be aware we are live streaming. So until I tell you that we are officially in the closed session, anything you say will be going out live to the public. And as a reminder, those in the room that have joined us digitally, you must also accept the invite into the closed session.
Schedule. Before or after?
You're good.
Bring some
Share some wine, you know.
Maybe
wine and cheese.
Yeah.
Cutlery.
You can just pull it off.
Is there anybody hearing my voice online that feels they should be in the closed session? Please speak up.
Kane, do you think that that's full of generous?
I know it. in a few minutes.
I'm writing notes.
Any chance we can have nobody remove any consent?
No.
As much as I'm comfortable, because I have those facts that I love saying stuff about how good that is, but I'll let it go.
That's not.
All right, you are in open session.
All right, ladies, gentlemen, we're back in open session. Clerk, ready? Please call the roll.
We're here, right? This. Alan present.
Bates,
Here.
Berman,
Here.
Doherty,
Go here.
Davis,
I was here.
Ford, Gums, Iqbal, Juby,
Should be here.
Kenyon, Caius. Mr. Caius,
He's around somewhere.
He's here.
okay, Leonard,
Leonard here.
Lewis,
Was here.
Linder,
Linda here.
Molina,
Molina present.
Roth,
Roth here.
Sanchez,
Sanchez present.
Silva,
Silva's here.
Strathman, Surges, Tarver,
Tarver's here.
Tepe,
Tepe here.
Williams,
Here.
Young, Kirog,
Here.
in-person quorum.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, after discussion, I'd like a motion and a second to postpone petition number 4615 to a definite time.
Kenyon will make the motion.
Roth will second.
What's the definite time?
Definite time is
September.
November.
We're 21st.
Thanksgiving Day, and then we could eat.
November 21st.
You want duck or turkey?
So do I have a voice vote?
Yes.
Can this be?
If I vote
believe this is not a debatable motion.
not debatable, very good.
Postpone to a definite time.
So it'll be, this petition number 4615 will be postponed to a definite time, and that time will be,
Well, you have to call the roll.
that's the question I just asked.
Oh, okay.
So, it'll be to, November 21st. So clerk, could you please call the roll?
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Davis,
That was yes.
Ford, Gums,
Gums, no.
Iqbal,
Yes.
Juby,
Should be yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, no.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, no.
Young,
Young, yes.
passes.
Okay, that petition, will be reviewed, one more time, on next week. May I have a motion and a second to postpone petition number 4617 to a definite time, and that time will be November 21st. Thank you, Ms. Bates. Thank you. Mr. Iqbal. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
Thank you. Davis,
That was yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, no.
Iqbal,
Yes.
Juby, Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, no.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges, Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, no.
Young.
Young, yes.
Okay.
It's postponed.
May I please have a motion, a second, to move petition number 4618 to a definite time? That time is on November 21st.
So moved.
Yes, no.
Deputy seconds.
Sorry, who was that?
Oh, everybody has to speak up. I'm sorry, let's do this again. I was recognizing Miss Allen and then over here.
It doesn't matter.
Do I have a second, please? Ms. Strathman.
Second.
Oh, Leonard, let Mr. Leonard second. Very good. Roll call, please.
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Ford, Gums,
Gums, no.
Iqbal,
Yes.
Juby,
yes.
Kenyon, Caius,
Guys, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, no.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Pepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Oh.
Young.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the members of the public who signed up to speak on either petition number 4617 or 4618, I would, since those petitions are not going to be brought up right now, regretfully, I would like to ask you to postpone your conversation, your comments until we bring it up next week. And I appreciate the courtesy that for you being here, but we're not addressing those issues right now. So you feel free to go. We're going to be taking I'd like to take a 5-minute break so that everybody can have a recess, and we will come back here, probably take a little bit longer, about 5 to 1. 12:55. Ladies, gentlemen, could everybody have their seat, please? Let's get started.
You should put.
All right, it is
I'll be over for lunch.
12:55 and we're back in open session. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Oh, no problem, Governor.
Oh, I gotta go.
In the room?
Allen, Bates,
She's here, but.
Berman,
Berman here.
Doherty. Mr. Doherty. Davis. Ford. Iqbal. Juby.
Here.
Kenyon. Caius.
Is present.
Leonard.
Leonard here.
Lewis.
Who's here?
Linder. Molina.
Molina present.
Roth. Sanchez. Silva.
Silva is here.
Strathman.
Strathman here.
Surges. Tarver.
Carver's here.
Tepe.
Happy here.
Williams.
Williams here.
Young. Kira.
All right, we have a quorum in the room. Mr. Ford, thank you. I have a request to do a slight change on our agenda. With your permission, I'd like to move into executive session. We've had an attorney waiting for us for several hours, and we'd like to have her present her information to us. So may I please have with your approval, change of agenda? We're going to go back into closed session for settlement of claims. Do I have a motion? Thank you.
Seconds.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, please call the roll to go into closed session.
Allen.
Ellen, I.
Bates.
Yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes.
Doherty. Davis. Ford. Gums. Iqbal. Juby.
Here. Yes.
Kenyon.
Yeah.
Caius. Leonard.
Leonard, yes.
Lewis. Linder. Molina.
Molina, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Sanchez. Silva.
Strathman, yes.
Surges. He's gone. Tarver.
Carver, yes.
Tepe.
Happy, yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes.
Young left. Okay, I'm going to executive session.
All right, excuse me, everybody online, please accept your invites. I'll let you know when we're together again. As a reminder, those in the room must accept the invite before we can go into closed session. I'm still missing 2 online folks.
In the room. Yeah, that's basically, yeah.
Yes. I am still missing the 2 online folks. Down to 1 online folk.
Name them, get them.
Okay, somebody told me.
Levity in that water cooler.
Little water cooler humor.
It would cause a problem for Blair.
Mr. Doherty, are you there? We cannot go into closed session until you accept the invite.
This is closed for some reason. Well, you know.
I think you.
So, Mr. Doherty, if, we'll
Wow.
have to,
Okay.
Turn off the microphone.
Never, ever say that.
Is there anybody else that's hearing my voice that feels they should be in the closed session?
No, right?
No.
Living out there in the country, you have.
What's your doctor's appointment?
Large truck.
2:15.
You aren't gonna make it.
Depends on if
It's an hour.
depends on if I get up and leave.
All right, you are in open session.
I talked to Jody about
Yeah.
Maybe it can be virtual.
We are back in open session. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Because when I get there, you know, they're.
Alan
make you
present?
sit, Wait.
Oh, I'm at 4.
Berman,
Today's looking genius right now.
Doherty,
Doherty, yeah.
Best,
That was just.
Ford, Gums,
yes.
Iqbal,
Yes.
Juby,
Aye.
Kenyon.
What?
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina present.
Roth,
Roth here.
Sanchez, Silva,
Here.
Strathman,
Here.
Surges, Tarver,
Tarver's here.
Pepe,
Deputy here.
Williams,
Here.
Young, Pirog.
Okay, very good. Is there any new business? We're back to the regular agenda. Being no new business. No, not yet. Not yet. I believe we, next item is, we have some appointments for the Drainage Sanitary Conservancy District.
Looks like stink.
Good afternoon. This is Jody Walnick, Director of Environmental and Water Resources. You have in your packet the appointments for our drainage districts and our sanitary districts that we do annually. All of them are reappointments with the exception of a new appointment for the Lake Marion Conservancy District, and I would ask for your approval.
Moves, Mr. Kenyon seconds. Any Strathman, do you have a discussion, Ms. Strathman? Because we've already got.
Are those names in the record of the meeting?
They,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, they're on there.
They're right here.
They sure
Patsy
are.
Shackleford and Erica Lowe.
Low is the new one. All the other ones are reappointments.
So with no objection, clerk, please call the roll.
You can do it by voice.
I'm helping you, Dan.
Allen,
One eye.
Bates, Berman,
Yeah.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Davist,
That was just.
Ford, Gums, Iqbal, Juby,
Aye.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Aye.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Silva. Silva, yes. Strathman,
Yes.
Surges, sorry, Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Pepe,
Deputy yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes.
Okay, passes.
Before we move on, I would just like to thank the volunteers who serve on these appointed committees for their time and their commitment to make Kane County a better place for all of us to live. It is deeply, deeply appreciated. Are there any committee updates?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Iqbal.
Permission from,
Microphone, please.
Microphone again.
with permission from Michelle Gum, Senator DeWitt will be joining us for the Legislative Committee on the 20th at 1:00.
Oh, very nice. Very
Thank you,
nice.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I just want to thank my colleague for making that happen. It's going to be about our broadband issue. So
All right.
I want to thank you, Mr. Iqbal, for making that connection,
No problem.
getting them in.
Good. We all look forward to hearing from our senator. Very good. Cool. Are there any other committee updates? None? All right, we're on to our consent agenda. Would anyone like to move an item from the consent agenda? Yes, Mr. Tepe.
Madam Chair, number 23-457.
Ready? Anybody else?
To motion that we do the consent agenda. Let's shut it off.
I'm just making sure,
Close the.
just making sure, nobody online. All right, may I have a motion and a second?
I
to-
just made it.
Well, without the removal, with the
Without- we're
removal of
Only removing 4, 5.
723-457.
Okay.
Second. All I have to do is all in
Good,
favor.
Dennis, we're
Yes.
helping you.
Yeah.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Ford, Gums, Iqbal, Juby, Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Yeah.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Silva, Strathman,
Yes.
Tarver,
Carver, yes.
Pepe,
Kepi, yes.
Williams.
Please now have a motion and a second to discuss and possibly approve item number 23-457.
Madam Chair, I would like to move to table resolution 23-457
Okay, there's a motion to table indefinitely or to postpone
indefinite.
indefinitely.
Second.
Second. All right, do we?
Sorry, who's second?
That'll teach him not to be here.
Judy.
Good point.
Okay, that resolution has been tabled indefinitely.
We have to.
We haven't voted on it.
Vote on it. You
Okay,
can have a
thank you.
voice vote unless there's a.
Leave policy.
Second personal. Able to discuss this or is this?
Microphones, please.
It's not on that motion.
No, it's not.
It's been tabled. It's been tabled. Cannot discuss.
Allen,
We're voting on
it hasn't been tabled yet. We have to vote on it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the vote.
But we're not entitled to discussion on that
The table is not debatable.
forever?
Not on that.
Okay, okay.
Alan, no.
Oh,
We can't know why.
Bates,
It's no.
Berman,
no.
Doherty,
No.
Davis,
Davis, no.
Ford,
Okay, he's-
Gums,
Yes.
Iqbal,
No.
Juby,
Aye.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
No.
Leonard,
Leonard, no.
Lewis,
Lewis, no.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, no.
Roth,
Roth, no.
Sanchez, Silva,
Silva, no.
Strathman also,
Pepe.
no.
What happened, Teppy?
Surges. I'm sorry, he's not here. Tarver,
Carver, yes.
yes. Tepe,
Kepi, yes.
Williams,
Williams, no.
Did not pass.
Resolution 23-457.
Second it.
All
it
right,
does not pass.
not pass. So we have, it's back on the
That-
floor.
Well,
Right.
go ahead.
So it's not tabled, so.
Discussion.
Now.
Yes, Mr. Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to ask Mr. Tepe why he wanted to table that indefinitely. What were his objections?
Well, the request came from Mr. Surges, and his request was to table it indefinitely, that the matter will be heard tomorrow at the HSC. So but I requested to table to a date, and he said no, to table it indefinitely. So that was at Mr. Surgis's request.
Is it on your?
So his was a date, yours was indefinitely?
His was indefinitely.
Oh, okay, and yours is also.
He said the matter will be discussed, so therefore it will be represented, but he felt that this particular resolution should be killed.
I can live with that.
Okay.
I didn't say that first.
Are there any other comments on
Yes,
this?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I would like to have you ask Mr. Tepe if Mr. Surges gave him a why or wherefore,
What?
why it should be tabled indefinitely. Did he give him a reason?
Mr. Tepe, do you have any knowledge on that?
No, I do not, but maybe our director of HR does.
Keep secrets, man. We're in trouble.
I'll pass the buck.
Thank you. At the advice of council, we have rewritten that policy as an ordinance. That ordinance will begin in human services. So that is the reason to completely table this one. It is no longer going to be a resolution addition to our handbook policy, but rather an ordinance that was emailed out to everyone in addition to being posted outside the agenda, and it will be heard in human services if you have any questions. And I can answer any other questions you may have.
Are there any questions? No.
So Madam
Yes.
Chair, I would urge everybody to vote no.
A motion to postpone or could be renewed, could be made and rather than vote down, or you could just call the roll.
But
and
if we
vote it down.
defeated, if we defeated the resolution, we would be fine.
So, all right.
Madam Chair, I move that we table this.
Why?
Table it.
There's a motion and a second on the floor right now for it.
There's a motion on a second on the floor.
Well, yeah, but the table.
Oh, please, Mr. Caius, please, one
Motion
at a
to
time.
Table is a privileged motion that would be voted on to table the motion that is on the floor.
There's,
Court of order.
yes,
question.
of course.
Whoever made the motion a second, can they?
The people who made the motion could also withdraw the motion.
Yes,
With
okay.
the approval of the seconder.
Would you like to withdraw? Who approved it?
But that just leaves it in limbo.
It's in limbo right now.
All right.
So,
I would say that perhaps
Under
with unanimous consent, it could be withdrawn from the agenda. Then you don't have to do anything else.
okay, we already have a motion, a second. May I have your unanimous consent to withdraw this motion from the agenda?
Yes.
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 Yes, very good. It has been withdrawn.
No good deed goes unpunished.
You can blame it on Cliff.
All right.
We now are out of our consent agenda. We're now off consent. I have a motion and a second to discuss and potentially approve item number 471.
So moved.
In second the
Second,
motion.
there you go.
Who made the motion?
Is there any discussion?
Chair? Point
Yes.
of order, what are we voting on now?
Item number 471.
Thank you.
Sure. No discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Doherty,
Oh, yes.
Savast,
That was yes.
Ford, Gums,
Yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Juby, Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, no.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Happy yes.
Williams.
Williams, no.
Passes with 2 noes.
Chair Shepro as special ASA. The next item, ordinance 472, is being introduced. It is an amendment to say the section 248, and under your rules, it cannot be approved on the day of passage. It could be introduced and discussed if so desired and held over to the next meeting.
All right, so I'm sorry, I received a note. We are going to just present this.
You would have a motion made and seconded if somebody wishes to do that, and then it would lie over to the next meeting of the board, or the board in its discretion could send it to committee.
All right, so we have to have a motion and a second to move this forward, and then we can decide what we're going to be doing.
Correct.
So may I please have a motion and a second to?
Berman moves.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kenyon. Thank you, Mr. Berman. Would you like to move this forward?
I have a comment on it first.
Sure.
Davis speaking.
That we're gonna discuss.
The change that's been proposed, I agree with the first portion in the version you have where it's underlined, compensation for individual employees within the office of an elected official with internal control statute shall be set by the elected official of their respective office in accordance with Illinois law. Absolutely agree with that part. That should become part of it. Just above that, the portion that has been lined out that would then be replaced with the balance of this paragraph is where I have a problem. I think the part that has been lined out adequately covers what should happen. And my concern with the new language is that the fiscal and personnel policies that are referred to, I'm not sure are necessarily clear to everyone or have had a chance to be vetted by everyone. And in my opinion, what some of that policy, new policy does is take the authority from an executive director level person to go and hire somebody and move quickly. They are encumbered by this policy that would essentially require human resources to make sure it fits within this new parameter of the study that was done, a Herculean effort to be sure. But it will not allow people that we've given a great deal of authority to and a lot of trust, and rightfully so. Our executive director level people here are outstanding. And in today's employment market, if you're not able to move quickly and hire somebody, you will lose them, or at least run that risk at a very high level. They understand the budget, they understand the constraints, they know
Mr.
what
Davis,
they've got or not. So
thank you. I don't mean to interrupt you, so please. But I have some additional information on that. Do I have your permission to share?
I think he should be permitted to finish his.
Would you like to finish your statement?
So as it stands right now, unless there's information that I'm not aware of, the policy, my fear is that the policy as written that we're about to give power to prohibits our executive directors from moving spontaneously, if you will, although within budget to act on potential employee. I don't want to do that to them.
And nor do any of us. We all totally agree with that. So I have meetings, as you were well aware, with all of our directors. And yesterday we had that meeting and I spoke to them about this very matter because it was concerned and I wanted to make sure that we had their opinion. What was suggested is part of the personnel policy with the equity study. Previously, currently, it says that 50% of the average, the range, and we can bring up our human resources director to speak to this as well on the quartile, that they could only go up to 50% of the range without seeking permission from HR, Human Services. It was suggested in conversation that the following would happen. They would have free range to go up to 75% of the quartile without question. And then anything beyond that, they'd have to seek permission from Human Services and obviously your committee, appropriate committee to go through. This was for the internal equity. Now, in addition to when we're ready to move forward in the near future with external equity, then it would be brought back down to 50%. And this is what was spoken yesterday to allow this to go forward. And do you want to speak on this as well? Because you were there and it's going to impact how this is going to function.
Ultimately, the fiscal and personnel policies of the board are just that. They are the fiscal and personnel policies of the board. They can be changed by the board at any time. So this amendment, to my understanding, is what was advised by the state's attorney to make it so that the equity study and the grade and range system that are being established are able to be maintained. One of the important factors of maintaining that is ensuring that we remain equitable in our salaries, which does require some control over ensuring that salaries follow the policy that's in place. So this is not, none of this addresses that percentage. This ordinance change just gives the board the authority to make policies and set guidelines around the setting of salaries. What those policies are will currently and continue to be at the discretion of this board, who can create and remove policies at any time they want.
So, but there's a reference, your reference was to that existing policy and
Yes.
Ms. Juby, I
sorry,
see you.
Davis speaking again. And I appreciate the effort and the inclusion of the executive directors. That still sounds to me like, you know, velvet lined perhaps, but handcuffed still. 75% still puts a limit on the ability of an executive director interviewing a potential candidate for employment, say, highly qualified engineer, to not be able to make the offer that they need to without stopping and saying, sorry, I have to go ask the human resources director for permission. For me, that's not a management style that I want to embrace or force our executive director level people to have to submit to.
Okay, okay.
It's a move in the right direction, but no.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Juby.
So if I could address some of the things that Mr. Davis said, would that be all right?
Oh, absolutely.
So in this policy, what we're being asked to do is just follow the policy that we passed in October.
Yeah.
And the October 10th policy is where we removed the committee structure, and we sent it, if it was over a certain amount, we sent it to HR. And if it was over a higher amount than that, then we sent it to human services. So my suggestion would be that would be the thing that we bring back to change, because that's where we actually lost the ability to have it go to the committee that the department head reports to. I don't see anything in this particular amendment or resolution or ordinance or whatever we're calling it that actually does what we did wrongly, in my opinion, in October. And I have to take full blame for that, because I approved that without asking the correct questions. And I think we were wrong in doing that. And I would like to revisit that, but I think that this doesn't do what you're thinking it does do. We already did that. We already made that mistake.
Madam Chair Ford.
Thank you. Yes, yes, Mr. Ford.
Okay, I think we need to fix the other one.
Just, thank you, Madam Chair. So this, for me, is a little confusing. We was told not too long ago that one department head doesn't have say-so over another department head. So this, to me, reverses that statement and says that our HR becomes our county administrator almost.
That's what it says.
Which for me is confusing.
I'd like to recognize our state's attorney.
Aseo Frank, I want to separate two things for you. The thing you passed in October, while relates to this, is not this unto itself.
Right.
What this is doing is asking the question to the board of whether or not the board wants to have some say, as long as it's through resolutions, over what executive directors do as it relates to compensation. As the statute reads right now, it's tantamount to like a version of internal control when it comes to those decisions. So the question before the board under this amendment is whether or not you want to have oversight. In regards to, I think, what is the controversial policy that was passed in October, is the question that gets into whether or not the internal equity study should be enshrined as a policy and procedure on behalf of the board. That was passed in October. So essentially what happened was, and so everyone's kind of clear on this, my office had given an opinion that it needed to include an amendment to 248. When I learned that it was passed without an amendment to 248, I explained that the only way that that resolution could have any effect is if an amendment to 248 was constituted and then it's brought back up after the amendment, which would then allow it to be enshrined as the will of the board after basically it's no longer in contravention to 248. So I really want you, if you can, separate the two and ask yourself the question for today is, does the county board want to involve itself in pay decisions by executive directors? If the answer to that is yes, then that's what this does. If the answer is no, then you would not want to pass this. Separately, even if you pass this, the position of our office is that you would have to go back and pass the internal equity resolution again to make it lawful, or any other policies or procedures you may want to constitute over an executive director. I hope that helps.
So is everybody clear?
No.
No.
Oh.
You, all right, try one more time. And just, please, just
So-
speak about the matter here.
So if I were to distill this down to the most basic question is, do you as the board want to have some say in decisions made by executive directors as it relates to compensation? If what this is doing is changing 248, which says that basically they have complete control over it, as long as they don't go outside of their own budget. What this is saying is that there's now an extra added element of they must also comply with fiscal and personnel policies of the county board. That is the question before you. And the only reason this was put forward was because my understanding at the time was because the board had passed, I believe unanimously in October, a policy that was in violation of 248. I explained to those who asked that the only way for that to become legal would be you'd have to change 248 and then pass it again, if that's the will of the board. And just so we're clear, I have nor does my office have any position on this, as it only relates to department heads. As elected officials, elected officials already have internal control. So it's the best I can do to explain to this as to what the question presented to you right now is whether or not the county board wants to have some say or control over executive directors when it's within their budget. Because as it stands right now, 248 simply says if it's within their budget, they have complete and utter control over the compensation.
That's correct. Mr. Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Frank, I want to make sure I understand you correctly, but I think ultimately I do. What you're saying is if we as a board want to be involved in executive directors' ability to give their people raises, then we should approve this. If we don't, then we should vote no. And I've always been a believer, I do not want to micromanage departments. We've got people in positions to do that. I don't know how their people work day in and day out. And as long as they stay within their budget, they should have the right and the privilege to be able to pay people in any way, shape, or form that they want.
Yes, Ms. Bates.
I agree with Mr. Leonard almost, because I believe that we have to keep equity in mind.
Right.
And I would suggest a post process audit to make sure that gender, race, ethnicity, age, did I say age, would be equitable. That the raises for everybody were not unfair, were fair, not unfair.
Madam Chair.
Well, that's in addition to this. Yes.
I would just echo Mr. Leonard's comments and just say that I don't think it's good for our director level morale to take away this
Absolutely.
control. So I would vote no for this.
If I could just respond to that, they were all very much in support of the equity study, hands down, without question, each one of them. So that would be something that I've just
don't
clarification.
understand how the two are tied together, though. I don't see why we can't do equity adjustments and still leave the control to the directors.
So perhaps with that, because they're dependent upon both, that's why I spoke.
A grade and range system in and of itself is a policy set by the board that would put limitations on the salaries offered by department heads. So you cannot implement a grade and range system nor provide those equity adjustments without this level of control.
Agreed.
I'm sorry, would you please explain that one more time?
A grade and range system
Grade and range
is
system,
a
okay.
policy set by the board, a personnel policy of the board that would control and or limit the
Yeah.
ability of a department head to set a salary. And in and of itself would require this amendment.
Mhm.
So you cannot implement a grade and range system without that. Again, this amendment isn't looking to provide individual control onto certain people, but to allow the board to set policies that put guidelines on the setting of salaries. It is and as far as things passing through the human resources, I am not attempting to be any kind of county administrator. The review through my office is to make sure that we are not, whether intentionally or inadvertently, creating any discrimination or pay gaps that are against the law. Compliance and personnel is a part of the mandate on my office from this board. And I cannot do that if those things are not being reviewed by my office. So I would not be able to do that without this
And
adjustment.
Mr. Williams, I recognize you, but let Ms. Molina speak because her hand has been up. Ms.
Thank you,
Molina?
Madam Chair. Thank you. What I'd like to just say is the feedback I've received from some of our executive directors is that while they were in agreement and wanted to see an equity study, what's been proposed and the grading system itself, I think a lot of them still have some concerns with. So just extra feedback from what I've been receiving from my executive directors is that while the idea of an equity study was great, the outcome and the results aren't exactly what everybody had in mind. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Mr. Williams.
I guess that sort of got to my question is, so what would be the process to assign grades to employees, and how would the department heads have the ability to promote or increase the grade of an employee?
All of that is outlined in detail in the policy that was initially passed in October. There is a process associated with regrading, with merit-based increases, with cost of living increases, for restructuring, for promotion. It is all very clearly outlined in that policy.
I guess my suggestion would be, let's table this a month and get all the information to us so I can read it together. Because I read this and I completely forgot about the
Okay.
policy in October. So I have to admit, I'm reading this in a bit of a vacuum. I would like the benefit of our policy from October. So my suggestion is just let's continue it a month.
To Mr. Frank's point, this can't be passed until next month anyway. It's just a matter of if you want to continue the matter on to next month for a vote.
Okay.
I believe from what I'm hearing is that we would like to continue this on till next month, until December, and it can wait until January, depending the outcome of the board, so that everyone has time to talk to their department heads and get any kind of documentation that you require to make you feel comfortable in making this important decision. So we have a motion to table. Do I have till?
Is that a?
No.
Williams made a suggestion. Is that a motion?
Yeah, I did make a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I'm happy to make a motion.
Would you like to make a motion to move it to next month's board meeting?
Yes.
Is that what you're looking at?
December
12th.
12th.
12th. Do I have a second to move this to?
Roth will second.
Oh. I'll let Mr. Roth take this.
I have a question.
Yes, there is discussion.
So so does that make it a first reading again, or does that make it a second reading?
No, that action could be taken in December if you so wish.
So why we would have that anyway? Whether we had a motion,
You've got to put it, you could vote it down today or decide not to forward it on.
I thought we couldn't vote it on today because it was
No.
just introduced.
This is just going to be tabling it until December.
But-
Just
but
SAO Frank, you can't move or take a final resolution on it. So you can't vote on the substance. What you're voting on here is to simply forward it to next month for a second reading.
But it's already being forwarded to second.
No, not to
sorry.
a second reading, just to table the primary, just to move it so that everybody can have a better understanding. Same. Okay, it's the same.
Is voting yes today to move it forward a positive, or is it neutral?
It's
Mhm.
essentially neutral. I
Neutral.
mean, it's really a procedural because it's a first reading. I mean, it's like in the legislature, you have a first reading, but
Maybe a third reading.
Not to pass it forward?
Point of order, don't we have a motion on the table or motion to table it?
To table it until next month's meeting,
now a motion
December
to
12th.
postpone it to
We're not
December.
voting to send it forward. We're voting to postpone it to a meeting it would already go to if we were just taking a yes vote.
Arguably,
that so?
yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
I mean, it's the procedure is not well outlined in the county code as to exactly how the initial reading is implemented. It simply says that amendments to the rules of orders may not be approved on the day of their introduction, and today is the day of introduction. So we kind of have to fall back on other procedures, including Robert's rules. So
Question, please.
Yes.
So if we voted yes, before there was a motion to table it, it would go to the next meeting as a second reading.
Correct.
But there's a motion now that supersedes that motion that tells us we're going to vote to table it until the next meeting.
no, it's been given its first reading. I mean, we don't actually read it aloud any more than they do
No,
in Springfield.
my point is, if we're postponing it to the next meeting, does that then make that a first reading?
No, this is the first reading. It has
So it's
been
a second
introduced.
reading regardless of what we do.
Yes. Been introduced. This is the day of introduction of this amendment.
So with that in mind, since we can't table it, then, because this is the first reading, then
I think we can.
You can,
postpone it.
yeah, no, you could,
let's postpone it.
I mean, It
table it.
allows us to take a vote without really committing. I think everybody here thinks we need some more information to
Right.
fully,
Well, that's what my
That's the-
assumption
so I-
was.
Yes.
that's the reason for my motion.
So we have a motion and a second
To,
postpone the discussion on this item until, which is still considered
Yeah,
primarily.
the motion also would terminate any further discussion now. So it does accomplish something. Whether you like it or not.
To December 12th. So is everybody feeling confident to move forward on a vote? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Please, clerk, please call the roll.
Alan,
I, nothing,
Bates,
abstain. I'm jumping out of the,
Get out of the vote.
up out of the bathtub.
Berman,
Yes.
Doherty,
Oh, yes.
Savast. Oh, sorry, he left. Ford. Ford's gone, Gums is gone. Iqbal, Juby,
Do we know?
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, no.
Lewis,
Yes. Voted no.
Linder,
No.
Molina,
Molina, no.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman,
I'm not keeping.
I'm really sorry. Could you tell me my yes vote would mean what?
How much pain?
That it would be postponed to the December 12th COB.
Yes.
Surges gone. Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Tepe left. Williams,
Williams, yes.
and Young's not here.
May I ask a question, Madam Chair?
Too late.
It passes with 13 yeses and 4 noes with 1 abstain.
There's no more discussion on this then.
What does a no vote mean?
May I please have a motion and a second to approve item number 23-473?
Same applies to this as the previous one. This is a Shepro speaking. This is a amendment to the county code rules of order section, and therefore this also would be the day of introduction and would, if the pleasure of the board is to proceed with it, is that it would also lie over to the next meeting. Requires a motion and a second to
Do I have
give
a,
it its first reading.
So moved.
thank you. Second, Ms. Chuby, thank you. Are there any comments on this? Yes, Ms. Chuby.
Okay, so under C agendas number 1, it says the chairman with the advice of the executive committee shall prepare an agenda for each meeting of the county board not less than 5 days prior to such meeting. I suggest that we change that to 48 hours, which complies with the Open Meetings Act. I had asked the assistant state's attorney to tell us if it was required by law or not. And I was told that we can change it to 48 hours to make it more consistent.
Doesn't it say that in the change?
Well, it does, but we have 2 contradictory things. We changed number 3, but we did not change number 1. So number 1 stands with 5 days and number 3 does 48.
SEO Frank, it's not that they're contradictory. It's just a question of preference. If you would like to keep the 5 days in place for purposes of scheduling for executive, you can. There's nothing legally required for it.
I just think it would be easier for us if we did 48 hours.
I agree.
So we have 48, we have a.
Can we amend it today? I'm point of order. Can we amend it?
It's just a
This is
reading
just a
today.
reading, right?
Can't amend it
You
today?
could amend it today, you just can't pass it. I mean, you can't pass the final product. You could certainly amend it today.
Is that a motion, Juby?
Yes.
Rathos,
So 48 hours is 2 days.
So we're clear on what
Or the
48 hours
the
includes
exact text of the
weekends.
amendment is.
Here, hold on a second, please.
1,880.
The sun's still in the sky.
It's early in the afternoon, sir.
So the proposed amendment is to C1 and where it now says county board not less than 5 days prior to such meeting. Ms. Juby, your amendment would be not less than 48 hours prior.
Correct.
That if I may, a question that I may have, and I'll gladly step down from this procedurally. 48 hours, if it would include a weekend, if a meeting happened on a Monday, and how does that affect staff and being able to upload that? So that's.
Business days.
Business hours, isn't it?
SEO Frank, you actually can get rid of the day requirement. The next sentence takes care of the 48 hours anyways. It just requires you to comply with OMA. So you could take it out. In regards to your question, Madam Chair, related to staff, this is a minimum, not a maximum. So it would allow it to go further down, but the question would be whether or not the county board wants to do that. So it's not required. It's strictly up to you on what level of days that you want. The other thing to this too is one of the other things that this fixed was related to the mailing of the agendas. I'm sure you all received yours this weekend. It is now basically in compliance with the statute. By doing this, that eliminates theoretically that having to be done all times going forward.
Correct. That is correct.
But, so if I understand, then the suggestion would be, is that the language would be the chairman with the advice of the should we say chairperson, by the way, with the advice of the executive committee shall prepare an agenda for each meeting of the county board, period. The agenda shall be in writing and shall be made available in accordance with the provisions of the Open Meetings Act.
I would include prior to such meeting, but other than that, yes, you could take out the days.
Yeah.
So can you write that down so we can make those changes? We could read it out loud. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the key to this is, I have no problem with 48 hours. It's fine. I think the key is including email or electronic media, not physical mail.
Yes, please.
Because in receiving this 745 page, it didn't even meet that criteria because I got it yesterday at 3 o'clock.
But it only said that it had to be posted by 4 days, not delivered previously to 4 days.
No, the old thing was it had to be posted 5 days before and received no later than 4 days before.
SEO Frank, I believe it just has to be mailed
It
first
actually
class
just
mail.
says for distribution, not less than 4 days prior.
Less than.
So it doesn't matter when you get it. I guess my problem is, and I've said this for 3 years now, I want to get the agenda at least 48 hours before the meeting so that I can study it.
Yeah, I believe that happens. Yeah, but because sir, you brought this up, so we were reacting to
Sure.
what the code says.
Yeah.
So we were being responsive to you.
Well, and I appreciate that, but where we had it through email already, I didn't think there was a need to personally spend $20 a board member on mailing it to us, because we've been emailing it for the last 10,
I
12
was
years.
we're just following the letter of the law of that's what we reviewed it through recommendation, through
So then in other
advice
words, you're
of-
going to have to do this again for the
advice of
next
ours.
meetings until we get this passed.
SEO Frank, so because the specific issue was raised, my recommendation, because of the seriousness of passing the budget and the possibility of an increase in taxes that could be challenged if we did not properly go about the process correctly. So my recommendation was to follow it to the letter of law, while at the same time making changes to it such that we don't have to do it going in the future. Because my presumption would be that nobody in the board wants them mailed to them every time. So my hope was this was a balance that could meet fixing the issue while at the same time making sure everything's in compliance, that no one could ever challenge it.
Fine.
Similarly,
So the amendment with Ms. Juby's consent would then read to strike the words "not less than 5 days" from paragraph C1, so that it would read, the chairperson will put that in, with the advice of the executive committee, shall prepare an agenda for each meeting of the county board prior to such meeting. The agenda shall be in writing and shall be made available in accordance with the provisions of the Open Meetings Act, period.
Mhm.
And was there a second to that?
is there a second to that amendment?
That amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Roth. All right, so where are we now?
I have a question.
Yes.
Should we spell out what the Open Meetings Act does right
No.
there?
No,
No.
no, we don't need to do that, I don't
Okay.
believe.
Read the
Are
Open
we
Meetings
gonna
Act.
know?
All right, are we ready then? That has been approved. Do we have to take a vote on that?
On the amendment, yes.
We have to
Yes, it is.
take a vote, please, once.
If there's any more discussion.
Oh, are there any other changes on this? Ms. Chuby, are you fine? You're good? As amended.
no?
Totally fine. So may I please have a motion and a second to move this forward as amended?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Mr.
Ralph, second.
Oh, there's a motion on the floor.
Yeah, we got to do the first motion.
He made a motion. You have to vote on the motion.
Vote on the motion as.
To amend,
Thank you,
to
thank
amend
you.
and move forward.
All right. May I have a motion and a
You
second?
have a motion.
We have, okay, if we just take the vote as amended.
Yes.
As amended.
Just the amendment.
No, you have a
Yeah.
motion to amend.
And we have a motion to
If
amend.
it passes, you will then have a motion or you will have a motion as amended.
That's what I was going to say, yes,
We have a vote on
to
Yes.
amend.
motion to
Glenn and
amend. but not
Juby
what the
moved and
amendment is.
seconded to refer
Understand,
to the meeting in December. And that it was a move to amend that motion to add the replace and add the language that was stated.
I think put it simply, do we have a motion and a second to approve the amendment?
There was a.
Yes, you have a Juby and Ross.
And then the amendment.
There
is to
has
put
been a
that on.
motion to do that.
Oh, so we have to
Got a
do
lot of motions.
Yes, right. Call the roll.
On the amendment?
Yes.
Okay. On the amendment, Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty. Davis left, Ford is left, Combs is gone, Iqbal,
Yes.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman's gone, Surge is gone, Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Pepe's gone, Williams,
Yes.
amendment passes.
And then I'll make a motion to forward the resolution as amended.
That's correct, sir. And I believe.
Second.
With no further discussion, clerk, could you please call the roll?
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Doherty. Davis gone, Ford gone. Iqbal,
Yes.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
nope, Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Williams.
Yes.
It is it postponed or held over to 12/12 COB meeting?
Postponed, but just moved forward to the next. It's not been postponed at all, not at all.
Moved
Not
forward,
at-
yeah.
It's moved.
And move forward.
It's being moved forward.
That was
All right,
the
one
motion.
more item on our agenda to approve. May I have a motion, a second, to approve the settlement in case number which have been combined 19WC 030908. No, please, I have to say the whole thing. 23 WC 013868 in the amount of $230,000.
Bates moves.
Mr. Kenyon seconds.
Alan.
Allen seconds. Clerk, please call the roll.
Who was the first and who was the second?
Allen second.
Who moved?
I'll give it to Mr. Kenyon.
I know there's no discussion.
So, okay, I'm just.
So clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Doherty. Davis, Iqbal,
Davis, yes. I got to a spot where I could zoom in if
Juby,
allowed.
Juby, I.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Silva,
Silva, yes.
Strathman, nope, she's gone, sorry. Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Davos, yes, you were allowed.
Thank you.
We have, we now on to public comment. We've been, our treasurer, Mr. Lawson, has been waiting for this meeting to speak for his time. It is off agenda. So sir, you have 3 minutes.
Oh, that's okay. You know, after 5 hours that you've been in this meeting, you're obviously very tired. And so I don't want to add to the burden that you've already experienced today. I did bring 3 ideas with me and I was going to cover it during that time. I'll save that message for next week when you're gathered together on the budget. A week ago, I came, had the 3 ideas, wanted to give 3 ideas. But this is not we want fresh minds there are 3 important things, and I'll defer the time out of respect for your condition. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, with all of that, may I please have a motion to close the meeting? Sir,
I move we adjourn.
Rod seconds.
Sun is still in the sky.
sun is still in the sky for about 2.5 more hours. All in favor? Aye.